In the bustling city of Lagos lived a handsome 30-year-old man named David Okafor, the only son of billionaire businessman Chief Michael Okafor. David had everything money could buy: luxury cars, mansions, private jets, and a promising future. However, despite his wealth, David was unhappy. Every woman he met seemed interested in his money rather than his character. The conversations always revolved around expensive gifts, vacations, and luxury lifestyle. One evening, David went on a dinner date. And yet after another disappointing encounter, the conversations always revolved around expensive gifts, vacations, and luxury lifestyles.
Daddy, I want a wife who will love me when I have nothing. My son, I understand you. Whatever your decision is, I will always support you.
A week later, David left his father's mansion and traveled to a remote village hundreds of miles away. There, nobody knew who he was. He rented a tiny mud house and began living as a poor fisherman.
Every morning before sunrise, David paddled his canoe into the river and spent hours fishing. In the afternoons, he carried his fish to the village market to sell. Many young women in the market laughed at him. Many said, "Who would marry a poor fisherman?" Some mocked him, and others ignored him completely.
In the market, there was one woman who was different. Her name was Grace. Grace owned a tiny provision shop in the market. Unlike everyone else, she admired David's hard work.
You are a hard-working man. One day God will lift you higher than you can imagine.
Whenever David looked discouraged, Grace encouraged him. Sometimes she brought him food when she noticed he had not eaten. Other times she shared part of her earnings just to help him survive. Dazed by her kindness, slowly friendship blossomed into love. Yet Grace never expected anything from him. To her, he was simply a good man struggling to make ends meet. One evening, after selling fish at the market, David was walking home. Suddenly, a speeding car lost control and struck him violently. The driver panicked and sped away. David was left bleeding on the roadside. Hours later, some villagers discovered him lying unconscious.
He's not moving! Is he breathing? Let's get him to the clinic, quickly!
He needs emergency surgery, or he may not survive. The cost was more than anyone could afford. When Grace heard the news, she ran to the hospital in tears. Without hesitation, she emptied all the savings from her small provision shop and paid the first part of the hospital bill. The doctors began preparing for surgery.
But more money was needed. Desperate, Grace went to a loan company. The manager agreed to help, but only if she used her shop as collateral. Grace's heart sank. That little shop was all she had left.
Her parents had died in a car accident years earlier, leaving her an orphan with no relatives to depend on. Yet she knew David would die without the surgery. With tears in her eyes, she signed the documents.
The hospital completed the operation. Several days later, David finally opened his eyes.
When Grace told him everything she had done to save him, he was speechless.
You gave up everything for me?
Grace smiled.
You would have done the same for me.
At that moment, David knew he had found the woman he had been searching for.
After leaving the hospital, Grace moved into David's tiny house to care for him. She cooked for him, washed his clothes, bought his medication, helped him walk again. Meanwhile, because she couldn't repay the loan company seized her shop.
Still, she never complained. Every morning she left to do domestic work in people's homes just to earn enough money for food and medicine. For 5 months, she sacrificed everything. David watched silently. Every day he loved her more.
After recovering fully, Grace, I want to visit my childhood friend in the next village. I'll be gone for 2 weeks.
Go safely. I'll pray for you every day.
David hugged her goodbye. But David wasn't going to another village. He was returning to the city now he had found the woman he wanted to share his life with.
When David arrived at his father's mansion, his family was shocked. They had not seen him for months. His younger brother went and hugged him.
Dad, Mom, you need to know everything. Grace's sacrifice is just for me. She spent all her savings. She lost her shop for a loan company just to save my life. She worked day and I want to spend the rest of my life with her.
You have found your wife.
The next day, David purchased a beautiful mansion for Grace. He bought her a luxury SUV. He also bought a large supermarket and stocked it with goods. David returned to the village accompanied by luxury cars and security escorts. The villagers watched in amazement as expensive vehicles entered the village. Nobody understood why. Then David stepped out. Everyone froze. Grace couldn't believe what she was seeing. Why he pretended to be poor.
I have a confession. I was never a poor fisherman. I left the city to find someone who would love me for who I am. And that's you. You are the woman I have been searching for.
You risked your life just to find true love? What if you had died?
Then it would have been God's will. You have brought so much happiness into my life, and I'm grateful to you.
Come with me. Leave everything behind. You don't need anything from that tiny house anymore.
Dad, Mom, meet Grace, the woman I told you about. She's the woman after my heart. Welcome, Grace.
Oh, Grace, we've heard so much. Welcome, my dear. Thank you so much.
We are so glad to have you here.
This is your new house, and the black SUV is yours, my love.
Thank you, my love. I'm lost of words.
This supermarket belongs to you too, my love.
My love, you really mean the whole world to me. You have brought so much joy into my life.
You mean everything to me too, my love.
1 week later, a grand wedding was held. Family, friends, and villagers attended. Grace walked down the aisle in a beautiful white gown. David waited at the altar with tears in his eyes. The poor fisherman and the orphan shopkeeper became husband and wife. He had left behind a mansion to find true love. And in the heart of a humble village girl, he had found a treasure worth far more than all. Together, they built a happy family, helping widows, orphans, and struggling villagers. And whenever people asked David how he found true love, he always smiled and said, "A person's true character is revealed when they have nothing to gain from helping you."
The wedding was the talk of the entire country. Newspapers carried pictures of David and Grace on their front pages. Social media was flooded with videos of their lavish ceremony. The villagers who once mocked David, a royal love story, beloved couple ties the knot in dream wedding ceremony,
Could hardly believe that the poor fisherman they had looked down upon was actually the son of one of the richest men in the nation. For Grace, life felt like a dream.
Grace Supermarket's mission is to nourish the community with quality products and exceptional service. Guided by values of integrity, quality, communities her supermarket successfully, becoming known for helping those who could not afford food.
David admired her even more. Despite her new wealth, Grace remained humble.
One afternoon, about 3 months after their wedding, Grace was organizing records at the supermarket when Elry Wynn looked tired and weak. Grace immediately offered her a seat and some food.
Where did you get that necklace?
It belonged to my mother.
I know that necklace. Many years ago, I was your mother's best friend.
For years, I had believed everyone connected to my parents was gone.
Your parents' car accident was not an accident.
What do you mean?
Someone tampered with their vehicle before they traveled.
What are you saying?
Your father had discovered a major fraud involving a powerful businessman. Before he could expose him, he died.
Grace stood speechless. For over 20 years, she had believed her parents' deaths were a tragic accident.
Honey, an old woman came to the supermarket today. After I offered her some food, she saw my necklace and asked me where I got it from. I told her I got it from my late mom. She was shocked because she was my late mom's best friend. She told me someone may have murdered my parents.
Oh, my love, I'm so sorry to hear this. I know how you feel about this, but I promise you we must find the truth. Whoever did this to your late parents will not go unpunished. The next day, David hired private investigators. Weeks turned into months. The investigation uncovered shocking evidence. The businessman responsible for the fraud had become one of the most powerful men in the country. His name was Richard Benson. Even worse, he was preparing to run for governor. David's investigators discovered old documents proving Richard had bribed mechanics to sabotage the vehicle that Grace's parents were traveling in. When Grace heard about the evidence, tears rolled down her face. For years, she had suffered alone. Now she finally knew the truth, but exposing Richard would be dangerous. The man had powerful friends. One night, David received threatening phone calls. "Stop investigating, or you'll regret it." But David refused to back down. "If Grace stood beside me when I had nothing, then I will stand beside her now." The case eventually reached court. The trial lasted several months. Witnesses testified. Old records were uncovered. Former employees confessed. Finally, the judge delivered the verdict. Richard Benson was found guilty. The courtroom erupted. Grace cried uncontrollably. After more than 20 years, justice had finally been served.
What are you feeling right now? My parents always taught me that goodness wins in the end. Today proves they were right.
The story spread across the nation. People admired not only David's wealth, but also his loyalty, and they admired Grace's strength and kindness. David and Grace established a foundation in honor of her parents. The foundation provided scholarships for orphans, medical assistance for accident victims, and small business grants for struggling women.
Do you ever regret leaving your father's mansion and becoming a fisherman?
Not for a second.
Why?
Because if I had never become a fisherman, I would never have found you.
David and Grace were blessed with two beautiful children, a boy named Daniel and a girl named Esther. Their foundation had become one of the most respected charities in the country. Every year, they returned to the village where they first met. The villagers now saw them as heroes. David never forgot the tiny house where he had lived as a fisherman.
One rainy afternoon, while Grace was reviewing applications for orphan scholarships, a receptionist entered her office.
Madam, there is an old man outside who insists on seeing you.
Grace agreed to meet him. Moments later, a frail man in his 60s entered the office. His clothes were worn and his eyes were filled with sadness. The moment Grace saw him, she felt something strange.
Please forgive me.
Forgive you for what?
I am the man who knocked David down with my car.
Grace's heart stopped. For years, nobody had known who caused the accident. Even the police had failed to identify the driver.
After I hit him, I was terrified. I ran away. Every day since then, I have lived with guilt.
Grace sat silently. I lost everything afterward. My business collapsed. My wife died from illness. My children abandoned me. I have carried this burden for years.
I heard about your foundation helping people. When I saw your photograph in the newspaper, I recognized you. I knew I could not die with this secret.
Grace didn't know what to say. Years of pain rushed back into her heart.
Honey, a man came to the supermarket this evening. He confessed he was the one that knocked you down with his car in the village and run away.
Are you serious?
Yes, my love.
I need to see him tomorrow.
Okay, my love.
The next day, the old man arrived in David's mansion. The moment he saw David standing before him, he dropped to his knees again.
I'm sorry. I don't deserve forgiveness. That accident had nearly cost my life. It had caused Grace to lose her shop and sacrifice everything. Stand up, I forgive you.
Thank you.
If I hold on to anger, then I become a prisoner of the past. God spared my life for a reason. Find him a place to live and arrange medical care for him.
The old man had expected punishment. Instead, he received mercy. For the first time in years, peace entered his heart. Several months later, he became one of the foundation's most dedicated volunteers. He spent his days helping accident victims and counseling reckless drivers. His story touched thousands of people.
The people I hurt became the people who saved me. Thank you.
My love, do you think God planned all of this?
I think God can bring something beautiful out of even the most painful situations.
Daddy, Mommy, come and see what Esther did. Come on.
Esther had planted a flower in the garden,
It's beautiful.
just like her mother.
As the sun slowly disappeared beyond the horizon, David held Grace's hand. The woman who had once lost everything to save a poor fisherman was now surrounded by love, family, and purpose. And neither of them knew that another surprise from the past was about to change their lives. For a few days after the old driver left the foundation office, David received a phone call from the village chief.
My son, there is something you need to see. It concerns the old house you used to live in.
The next morning, David and Grace returned to the village with their children. When they arrived, they found dozens of vigilants gathered around the clinic, now standing beside the medical clinic David had built.
Welcome back to our village. Thank you, Chief. My son, when workers were clearing the land behind your old house, we discovered a small wooden box buried beneath the ground. What is this?
David slowly picked up one of the letters. His hands began the elderly fisherman who had rented him the tiny house 5 years earlier.
If anyone finds this diary after my death, please give it to the young fisherman named David. I always knew he was different from everyone else.
Grace wiped away a tear. The diary revealed that the old fisherman had secretly watched David every day. He wrote about how David never complained about hardship. David shared his food with hungry children and quietly paid medical bills for poor villagers even though he pretended to be poor himself. Then David reached the final pages, his eyes filled with tears. Grace is the greatest blessing God has sent into this village. Long before David's accident, she secretly bought food for widows. If David marries her, he will never regret. Grace covered her mouth as tears streamed down her face. She had never told anyone about those acts of kindness. The villagers were equally surprised. Many had never known Grace had sacrificed for others.
My daughter, God was watching everything you did in secret. I thought I came here to test your love, but God was testing both of us.
I have one more surprise. We are going to build a modern secondary school, a maternity hospital, a clean water project, and a vocational training center in the village.
Years ago, Grace gave me food when my children abandoned me. Today, God has remembered her.
David taught us that wealth does not make a person great. Character does.
I recognize some of you who once laughed at David in the marketplace.
Please forgive us. We judged him because he looked poor.
I forgave you a long time ago.
Grace, everyone, before we leave, the new sign.
It's beautiful, David.
Kindness given in secret is never forgotten by God.
Thank you, safe journey.
I'm so proud of us. 5 years ago, we left this village with nothing but love. And today, we leave it with an even bigger family.
Neither of them realized that someone from David's business empire had in secret to destroy everything that had built.
Sir, your father wants to see you immediately.
My father, what's wrong?
He didn't say, he just said it's urgent.
All right, I'm coming.
Someone has been stealing money from our company.
Millions of dollars had disappeared over several years through fake contracts and shell companies. How was that possible?
Only a handful of senior executives had access to those accounts. David began a quiet investigation without informing anyone. For several weeks, he worked late into the night, studying financial records and interviewing trusted employees. One evening, he discovered something shocking. The mastermind was not an outsider. It was his father's younger brother, Uncle Stephen. For years, Stephen had secretly stolen from the family business while pretending to be loyal. Even worse, he believed David's disappearance to the village had made him the rightful heir to the company.
Now that David had returned, Stephen wanted him out of the way.
David, thank you for this evidence you presented to me. I cannot believe my own brother would steal from the company.
I understand, sir. The evidence is clear. Report everything to the authorities. I want him arrested immediately. Right away, sir.
When Stephen learned that his crimes had been exposed, he became furious.
This is all David's fault! I'm very angry. And I swore revenge on David.
My child, why are you crying?
I can't find my mother.
It's okay. We'll find her together. It's okay. I'm here with you. Excuse me, do you recognize this boy?
My baby. Oh, thank God.
Thank you. Thank you. You stayed with him instead of walking away. No child should ever feel alone. That means everything to us. I'm glad I could help.
A journalist happened to witness the moment and recorded everything. The next morning, the video spread across the country. People praised Grace.
Not because she was wealthy, but because her kindness had never changed.
My love, when I saw the video on TV, I feel more proud of you, my love. You are still the same woman who shared her last meal with a poor fisherman.
And you are still the same fisherman who never gave up.
That evening, the family gathered for dinner. Their children, Daniel and Esther, laughed as they told stories about school. My greatest achievement, he said, is not building this business. It is seeing my son marry a woman of character.
Across the city, Uncle Stephen sat alone in a dark room. Newspaper headlines about David and Grace covered his table, burned with hatred.
If I cannot have this empire, then neither will David.
He picked up his phone and made a mysterious call.
I have a job for you. I want David Okafor ruined.
Far away, David and Grace slept peacefully, unaware that a dangerous conspiracy had begun. Their faith, their marriage, and everything they had worked for was about to face its greatest test yet.
The following morning, David woke before sunrise as he usually did. He stood on the balcony of their mansion, watching the beautiful sunrise while thanking God for the blessings in his life.
Grace joined him with coffee.
My love.
I had a strange dream last night. I dreamed that someone was trying to separate our family.
Later that morning, Daniel and Esther left for school with their security team. David also left for a business meeting, while Grace spent the day at the supermarket.
When school ended that afternoon, Daniel and Esther walked toward their waiting vehicle. Suddenly, a black van spun into the school parking lot. 4 men came out from the van. Before anyone could react, they tried to take Daniel toward van. The guards immediately rushed to the love. Parents and teachers also ran toward the scene. One guard managed to pull Daniel free. Realizing their plan had failed, the men jumped back into the van and sped away.
The entire city was shocked when news of the attempted kidnapping spread across television and social media. Grace rushed to the school in tears. The moment she saw her children unharmed.
My babies. I've lost you.
David arrived moments later.
Are you both all right?
Daniel nodded. My family.
I will never forget this.
That evening, investigators reviewed security camera footage.
We've identified one of the kidnappers.
Who is he? He works for someone connected to your uncle, Stephen.
Meanwhile, when Chief Michael heard the news, he closed his eyes in disappointment.
My own brother has gone this far.
David clenched his fists but remained calm.
He will answer for everything he has done.
Meanwhile, Uncle Stephen learned that the kidnapping had failed. In anger, he smashed a glass against the wall.
You fools! I gave you one simple job! The security was stronger than we expected.
What do we do now, sir? If I cannot hurt David through his children, then I will destroy the one person he loves most.
Far away, Grace tucked Daniel and Esther into bed. She kissed each of them on the forehead. After leaving their room, she noticed David standing by the door.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking about the day I pretended to be a poor fisherman.
I remember.
When I had nothing, the greatest danger I faced was poverty. Now that we have everything, the greatest danger we face is envy.
Whatever happens, we'll face it together. Just like we did in that tiny house. Together.
Outside the mansion gates, a dark-colored SUV slowly drove past before disappearing into the night. Inside, someone was watching the house through binoculars. The battle for the Okafor family had only just begun. The intruders realized they had been discovered. They began running toward the rear entrance. Before they could reach it, security officers surrounded them.
One of the attackers managed to break a window and enter the house. Hearing the glass shatter, Grace woke up. She immediately noticed David was gone. Then she heard footsteps in the hallway. Without panicking, she quietly locked the children's bedroom door from the inside and moved Daniel and Esther into a hidden safe room built inside the mansion.
Stay here. No matter what you hear, do not come out.
We love you, Mommy.
I love you too.
The intruder reached the hallway. The masked man searched room after room. He was only a few steps away from discovering the children's safe room. Before he could continue,
You're looking for me.
the intruder rushed toward him. David dodged the attack as security officers entered behind him. Within moments, the attacker was overpowered and arrested. Outside, the remaining intruders surrendered after realizing they were surrounded.
By sunrise, every member of the gang was in police custody.
News of the failed attack spread across the nation. Police questioned the suspects throughout the day. One of them finally confessed. It was Stephen, he admitted. He promised us millions if we captured Grace. The confession was recorded on video. Armed with overwhelming evidence, police obtained a warrant for Stephen's arrest, but when officers arrived at his mansion, they found it empty. Stephen had escaped only hours earlier. No one knew where he had gone.
That evening, Grace stood in the garden watching the sunset.
You saved our children tonight.
I only did what any mother would do.
No, you stayed calm while everyone else was afraid.
The same courage that made you sell your little shop to save a poor fisherman is the same courage that protected our family tonight.
What promise?
That no matter what happened, I would stand beside you.
And I will spend the rest of my life keeping the promise I made to you, that you will never face life's battles alone again.
As they stood together, neither of them noticed a man watching the mansion from outside. It was Uncle Stephen. He lowered a pair of binoculars and whispered to himself.
If I can't destroy David's family, I'll destroy the one thing he values most, his reputation. The greatest battle was no longer for David's wealth. She immediately drove to the police headquarters with Chief Michael. David was taken into an interrogation room. The investigators placed several files on the table. These bank transfers came from accounts registered in your name.
I've never seen these accounts before.
Another officer placed photographs on the table. They appeared to show David meeting with known criminals.
They're fake. Someone has altered these photographs.
Meanwhile, Grace hired the best lawyers and forensic experts she could find. For days, they carefully examined every document. One expert discovered that the signatures on the financial records had been forged.
Another proved that the photographs had been digitally manipulated. Despite this, public opinion quickly turned against David. People who once praised him now questioned his integrity.
Outside the police headquarters, protesters gathered. Some believed David was guilty. Others believed he was being framed.
My husband is an honest man. He once gave up wealth and comfort to discover whether people could love him for who he truly was. A man who chooses hardship to find true love would never steal from his own family or betray the people he serves.
Her words touched many hearts, but the legal battle continued.
A week after the failed attack on the mansion, life slowly began to return to normal. David continued overseeing the family company while Grace managed the supermarket
And the foundation. Although they remained cautious, they refused to live in fear.
One Monday morning, David arrived at the headquarters of Okafor Group for an important board meeting.
As he stepped out of his car, dozens of reporters suddenly, Mr. Okafor!
Is it true you bribed government officials?
What do you have to say about the missing company funds?
What are you talking about? Before anyone could answer, several police vehicles pulled into the company compound. The officers walked straight toward David.
Mr. David Okafor, you are under arrest on suspicion of financial fraud, money laundering, and bribery.
At the mansion, Grace was having breakfast with Chief Michael when she saw the breaking news about David being arrested.
This can't be true.
Several days later, one of the company's former accountants secretly contacted Grace.
I have information, but if they discover I've spoken to you, they'll kill me.
Grace arranged to meet him in a safe location.
Everything is on here. Bank records, emails, secret recordings.
Who is behind it?
It was Uncle Stephen.
He built fake companies, created false accounts, and arranged for every piece of evidence to point toward David.
Thank you. I have to rush to the lawyers. The files are here. The evidence is overwhelming.
There were recordings of Stephen ordering employees to forge signatures, emails instructing hackers to alter financial records, secret payments made to people who agreed to lie against David.
The lawyers immediately submitted everything to the court. The next hearing attracted national attention. The courtroom was filled with journalists, business leaders, and members of the public. As the judge reviewed the new evidence, the atmosphere became tense.
Mr. David Okafor, the court finds that you were deliberately framed. All charges against you are dismissed.
Outside the courthouse, reporters asked David how he felt.
The truth may be delayed, but it can never be buried forever.
The nation celebrated his release, but there was one problem.
Uncle Stephen had disappeared again. No one knew where he was hiding. As David and Grace drove home that evening, they believed the worst was over. They were wrong.
At an abandoned warehouse far outside the city, Stephen watched the news on a small television. His face was filled with rage. If I cannot destroy David through lies, then I will confront him myself.
You've won every battle, but the war isn't over. For 3 weeks, there was no sign of Uncle Stephen. The police searched hotels, airports, abandoned buildings, and properties connected to him, but he had vanished without a trace.
Although David had been cleared of every accusation, he knew his uncle was still dangerous. One Saturday morning, David and Grace attended the opening ceremony of a new orphanage built by the David and Grace Foundation. Hundreds of children, community leaders, and journalists gathered to celebrate.
When I lived as a poor fisherman, I learned that true wealth is not measured by the size of your bank account. It is measured by the lives you change.
No child should ever feel abandoned. This orphanage is our promise that every child who comes here will find love, hope, and a future.
Many people were moved to tears.
As the ceremony came to an end, David and Grace greeted guests one by one. Months later, Stephen was arrested at the airport trying to leave the country after failed attempts to kill David with his gun. He was taken away peacefully to face justice. Weeks later, he pleaded guilty in court to fraud, conspiracy, and other crimes. The judge sentenced him to 30 years in prison.
Before being led away, Stephen apologized publicly. I'm sorry, David, Grace, Chief Michael, and everyone whose lives was damaged through my actions.
Chief Michael embraced his son David after hearing the news of Stephen's imprisonment.
I am proud of the man you have become. I learned from watching you.
A year later, the village where David had once lived as a fisherman held a special celebration. The old fishing dock had been rebuilt into a beautiful riverside park.
At its entrance stood a bronze statue of a young fisherman carrying a basket of fish. The plaque beneath it read,
"In honor of every hardworking person whose character is greater than their circumstances, may we always value kindness above wealth." David, Grace, Daniel, Esther, Chief Michael, David's mother, and David's younger brother stood together before the statue. May we always value kindness. If you had to live your life all over again, would you still choose that tiny house?
Without hesitation.
Why?
Because it's where our story began. That tiny house led me to the greatest treasure I could ever find.
May we always value kindness above all. May we always value kindness wealth. The family embraced as the villager applauded. The sun slowly set over the river, just as it had on the day David first arrived with nothing but hope. What began as a test to find true love became a story that inspired an entire nation, a reminder that genuine love, sacrifice, forgiveness, and integrity are treasures that no amount of money can buy.